Hello and welcome to Soups and Sabers. My name is Jordan. With me today. Oh man, we should have done this where we had the back of the chairs and the reveals, but we have Ron with us today.
Dude.
Well, yeah, dude, it was a crazy day, a day that we were not expecting to be this crazy as of like 24 hours ago, but we get this weird sort of announcement that something might be going on this morning, and here we are a day later with a lot to talk about, so much so that we figured it would just be easier to go live tonight. So,
And we have Chris. Sorry,
Totally.
Chris.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm tired. I'm good. It was funny when this whole thing started going down. I'm at work and my phone's just going whistle, 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 and I was like,
Did you not have
I'm
it
just gonna turn
muted?
this on silent.
You don't have it silenced?
No, I didn't. I did it because I'm usually not that important of a person. Like people don't need to get in touch with me very often. Um,
I'm just
but
imagining
yeah.
like you stocking milk and it's like and the person next to you is like, I think something's happening, bud.
Yeah, today I was just scanning a bunch of holes and low spots, but in like the middle of the store. But nobody cares about that because we got more fun stuff to talk about today.
That we do. So I'll give it to the scoopers on this one. They said something was coming, and it did at the right time. I'll give them kudos for that. How much they actually knew what this was, I don't know because there was so much conflicting information as it's going on. Of there's 50 names. This is going to take 10 hours. There's it's only 30 more minutes. Actually, I meant 30 names. Actually, it wasn't even 30 names. Like like there was so much stuff going on where then like sometimes they were reacting, the scoopers, to some of these names as if they had no clue. So who knows what they actually knew, but they did know something was happening at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and that is what we had. And we've got it started out with a guy walking in and putting one of the director chairs down with the name Chris Hemsworth on the back of it, like you see on a set. And then every 11 to 12 minutes, about, we got a new name that was about 5 an hour or so. And it was the Doomsday cast as they have started production of Avengers Doomsday. I'm going to read the names as we go, but before we read the names and stuff, I just want to maybe vent a bit about the people that were throwing fits about this online, I guess.
Yeah.
I just sent you a tweet yesterday that was like, the marketing for Superman is non-existent. Then Doomsday goes out there and does this 5.5 hour marketing scheme, and people are like, this was too long. Like, too much marketing for me. It's like, pick one at this case. Here's the thing. I had a ball with it. I think it kept it going for 5.5 hours. It was trending that whole time. People were making memes about it with the chairs. Only Murders in the Building revealed one of their cast members via the chairs because it was that type of moment. And you don't have that if it's in a minute and a half reveal. You don't. Like, this hit the zeitgeist, at least on Twitter, enough where people were making jokes about it, enjoying it, seeing each name. And they started off with, I think they did a very interesting way of not giving us, like, once you hit the Fantastic Four, you give us all the Fantastic Four. They kept spreading it out to where we really didn't know what was next. I don't know if we nailed any of them, Ron. Every time we said somebody was coming up next, they threw the curveball of, actually, we're going to Wakanda now, or now we're going to this person. And, there's names missing that we'll talk about as well. But I just had a real ball with this. It wasn't torture. I guess if you don't have an attention span or you're upset and you just want the info now, it is. But this was something I had on in the background while I'm doing other stuff. And when that music cue changes, I'm like, all right, now let's guess who this is.
Yeah.
If I know the music, or if I'm just sitting there puzzled, like, who could this be? And then the name pops up, and for another 10 minutes, I'm leaving it alone. And I'm having come back to it 10 minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a smart way to do it. You don't have to worry about paying cast members to show up. They literally are just the back of the chair. And it's a relatively low cost, efficient way to get the name out there and get people hyped for Doomsday. But I want to get both of your thoughts on how they did this and kind of like what the vibe was. Because I was beyond hyped, more than I've been for Doomsday, I think, at all with it. So let's start with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you, dude. You know, we didn't have any clue what exactly to expect. And then they come in and they put this chair in. And you're like, all right, is this like OG Avengers returning? Like, what's going on? And it almost felt like with each chair that got revealed, like as much as it answered a question, it left you with so many more, especially once they started getting into the X-Men of it all and like who was there and who wasn't there. It was just like, you really didn't know what was coming next. You know, the first one that I think was probably a real surprise, and we got a lot of them, so I forget the exact order they went in, but I feel like Namor was the first one where you're like, oh, okay, wasn't quite expecting that one. And then it just progressively got more and more to where we're getting these names, and it was like, oh my God. And yeah, all throughout the day, this gave us a chance to formulate theories and talk, and the buzz was crazy in our group chat on Twitter, like all my other chats that I'm in. Like, this is the most centrally engaged of a day that I can remember for Marvel fans. And I couldn't even tell you how long, because even the days like when movies comes out, it's like, yeah, some people see it Thursday, some people see it Friday, what have you. But this is the first time in a while that just everyone's been locked in at the same time on one thing. Kind of Comic-Con vibes almost a little bit in terms of that, but we could actually watch it. You know, where it's not just all of us following along on Twitter, refreshing our feeds every 5 seconds. It was just in real time. We were all seeing this and reacting together and enjoying and just being nerdy fans, which is for the most part. There's a lot of people like Jordan referenced too that were just got to be negative about everything. You know, the Goldilocks and the Three Bears thing. You know, this one's too hot, this one's too cold. But there's no just right, because there never will be a just right with some of these people. But we're talking tens of millions of congruent viewers over all different platforms engaging with this thing today and talking about it. And it was just a really great, really fun day. Before we get into all the specifics, that's kind of my aerial view of it. It was a great time, and one that I think we kind of needed as Marvel fans.
Yeah, before we get to Chris here, I just wanted to say, you know, it was. I've seen a lot of people saying like, how mean of Marvel or Kevin Feige to be like, you're forced to watch this. I want to make it clear, nobody was forced to watch this. You look, here's the thing, and I also saw some people say casuals, this is not going to put that on their radar or anything. Maybe not. They're not going to sit and watch 5.5 hours, but the casuals will see the 1.5 recap afterwards. And be like, oh, that was a cool way to do it. Like, this was for the fans that had like put it on the background, check in every so often, see a new chair. This was a fun way to do it. Like, I will stand by that for the this movie could be complete shit, and I'll say that this was a really great way to market the movie as you're going into production. It lasted so much longer than if the Russos just came out and said, ladies and gentlemen, here is the cast, and it like scrolls on the screen. It's like, you know, like like you said, everybody was engaged. We're formulating theories. Why this person? Why not that person? Why this order? Right? Like that was all part of the fun. Chris, you got to join it kind of late, but like, what was your just thoughts as you start seeing us or hearing us tweet at you and catching up on it?
So first off, it hurts nobody, and that's one of the things that I want to stress. But I also think you need to make this an event, because making the events like this is showing people, oh yeah, well, I do care about this, because there's so much lethargy, and making it this whole big thing. I don't think you can make it too big of a spectacle if you deliver the goods. And we got the goods today. You look at all those actors that we got today, and then you just think of all the great moments we've had with them, and like, wait a second, how are they going to come together? What is the story going to be like for this? Who's going to be connected? Where are they going? And you just start tying little knots together and untying the knots and tying them, and then you're like, wait a second, there's no Jean Grey and all that stuff. So you there's so much excitement today, and there's so much speculation, and then you're left with this kind of feeling of there's more that we don't know yet, and that's exciting, because they just gave you the goods. Like, we need to stop complaining when people give us the goods because we got them today. Like, I'm very excited about all the different possibilities that we just were out today. And you know what? I didn't know today was going to be an eventful day. I'd rather it be an eventful day than just a regular Wednesday. So I'm pumped.
The other part of it is, we were speculating before it happened because the rumor was there is something happening at 8 a.m. and 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And, Ron and I going back and forth on what could this be, because if it is something that, like, let's say it was a big cast member, let's just say Ian McKellen, right? That's something Deadline would usually just scoop if they know it's coming. They did that when they announced like Miss Marvel and She-Hulk for D23. Deadline came out with, hey, this is being announced like tomorrow, or like it was a half hour before the reveal or something. They usually don't wait. So we were kind of like, well, if the scoopers know it's happening at a certain time, for me, that felt like it has to be something Marvel is in control of announcing, right? And I think one of Disney's marketers like commented on something like, what? When people were speculating it. So I'm like, has to do with the marketing, but like it has to be an announcement. And that's when I was like, it has to be something they're in control of. And this is the type of thing that it is. I didn't know it was going to be this, but like something where you can be like, we know the cast, you don't. Here is the full cast. Like that is, something that really works in that regard.
Yeah, 100%. Well, should we just kind of go down the list now? And
I have all 27 in order. I have the order of the release.
Do it in chunks?
Well, we'll just start. We started with Chris Hemsworth. It then went to Vanessa Kirby, which was the first curveball for me because I had thought.
So from Thor to Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I thought Thor, and then it's like, okay, let's get the easy ones out of the way that we know are in it, like Hulk, Hawkeye. Guess what? None of those show up on this list. But, I was thinking like Ruffalo, Renner, people that we think should be in it that are still on the board, right? Because we know like technically Tony's off the board, Steve's technically off the board, but Thor has been around. He's had a movie in this phase. Like it made sense. Then it goes to Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Letitia Wright. Then they do this great gag with Paul Rudd where it kind of pans and there's no chair,
so
and then cuts down to show Paul Rudd's tiny chair. Then you get Wyatt Russell, then Tanak Horta Maja from Namor from Wakanda Forever. You get Eben Moss-Bachrach, another Fantastic Four member, The Thing. Then Simu Liu, right? Shang-Chi. Florence Pugh. Then the real curveball happened here with Kelsey Grammer. And I still think it's interesting the order they put it in because he's before the onslaught of the X-Men.
Yeah.
So I'm really wondering why that order. Maybe it was the lull us in a false sense of security. And it's like, oh, Kelsey Grammer. Okay. And then we go back to names like Louis Pullman, who plays Sentry, Danny Ramirez, Joseph Quinn, David Harbour, Winston Duke. That's right. Modern Family's star, Winston Duke. Then Hannah John Kamen. And then we go Tom Hiddleston with the Loki music. And then Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming. That was a real shock to me. Rebecca Romaine, James Marsden, Channing Tatum, Pedro Pascal, and Robert Downey Jr. And he wrapped it up. One thing I want to point out here, too, if anybody's worried about the Reed Doom relationship, just look at who's sitting next to each other at the very end of this list. It is Reed Richards and Dr. Doom. So I think that feels right. It feels good.
Yeah. They're essentially the two linchpin points of this movie. And it seems like that's what they were trying to imply by the structure of it all, especially with the whole family kind of being broken up. Yeah, that was interesting. You guys got to excuse me. I got a little bit of a chest cold going on here tonight. But I feel like we have to mention, in addition to, I mean, how amazing it is that we're getting all of these X-Men names back, like, was not, I mean, I even kind of had a feeling like, yeah, maybe we'll get Xavier back. We've seen him before, but like, first Ian McKellen, and then once it's like, oh yeah, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, it's like, wow, this is really real now.
Very
It
X-Men
sucks.
heavy. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah.
And it seems like if, you know, there was this rumor going around over the last few months of like, oh, this was going to be a sort of Avengers versus X-Men light. Like, it's not going to be the whole movie, but these two incurring universes teams sort of going at it is going to be an aspect of this movie. Now it seems like it's all but a certainty that's going to be the case, even though we're missing a few very important pieces to that mix, I would say. But the good thing is they did confirm that we are not done yet. There are still many announcements to come, many big announcements to come. Yeah, there you go. Right there. We got it.
This is right from the horse's mouth here for the audio listeners. That Robert Downey Jr. on Instagram. That's what you call a deep bench of talent. Actually, it's more like a row, but an extra long one. That must be it, right? And Marvel Studios responding, there's always room for more.
So what you're telling me is that they are planning a whole event just centered around announcing Famke Jensen's going to be in this movie. She herself is going to get a whole stream, is what I'm getting.
What we're going to get instead is
no.
actually we're going to get the row that is facing these chairs, and it's going to go across those for another 5.5 hours.
Let's go
tomorrow.
I would be here for it, for the record.
Let's go. I'm here. Like, you know,
look, it was a lot of fun. I don't think they're doing this again for like Secret Wars or anything. So I feel like this is a one-time deal. Like I said, if anybody was complaining, once you know the pattern of the every 12 minutes, then just log off if you want to wait until the end. You know, like, but all those people complaining are still retweeting the next person announced.
All right. You didn't have to watch the video. You just update your feed on Twitter, and you just you guys were giving me more than the video was. Like, I was like catching up on Daredevil today. I'm like, I'm doing schoolwork, I'm doing chores. Like, I'm like, I'm not watching this video like nonstop. I had it up, but like, come on. And like when we get like Kelsey Grammer Beast, you're like, dude, okay. That was like a real moment because it was like.
Some people weren't shocked by that. Like our friend Jack was not shocked. He said no surprising names until he got to Patrick Stewart. But for me, I was shocked by Namor, and I was shocked by Beast because we have no idea how the story is structured at that point, you know, where I'm thinking this could be like, we know Monica's with it. And that's the thing too. She's off the list. Monica Rambeau is not listed here. So who knows, but like she was last seen with Beast. So obviously you're thinking, oh, they'll follow up that thread, but do they follow it up in Doomsday, or is it a Secret Wars thing? That's where I wasn't sure. So I was kind of under the impression for some reason that it was going to be more 616 based for this movie, and then kind of go into the legacy characters in Secret Wars. But so for me, all the X-Men were kind of a shock.
The other way around.
I don't even know if it's the other way around. I think we're going to get even more in Secret Wars. Like I wouldn't be shocked if we get like Toby, Andrew, Hugh Jackman, right? Ryan Reynolds in Secret Wars. But
there's no way these characters are not in that movie. If they're not in this one, which still is a possibility, we kind of have to operate based on what we know now. But like, there's a good chance most of them, at least some of them, will be in Doomsday, but all of these characters, like, there is not one that is going to be left out of this equation in one of these two movies, if not both.
So go through the list that you put out a great tweet about it, I think, right? Of the list of people that were not on the list.
Yeah.
And we can kind of go through that, like big names here.
Yeah, we had Spider-Man, and I put in parentheses S because it's all three Spider-Men. There was not a lick of Spider anywhere near this thing today.
Yeah, not even Madam Web or anything.
No webs.
No, that's the most surprising out of all of them. no Madam Web, no Morbius, none of like Sony just totally boxed out of this thing. It's insane. No, but Doctor Strange, who we know is like another one of the linchpins of this entire multiverse saga, Deadpool and Wolverine, with everything we just saw from them in their movie and the TVA and the Void and all that stuff. Wanda, and like whose powers are tailor made for this kind of story, being able to bend reality, and I'll throw Jean in there too because they're very similar with their powers and things. I mean, Monica Rambeau, you mentioned, Captain Marvel, the Hulk. I mean, America Chavez, same thing with her powers. You know, then you start to get to like the Peter Quills, the Visions, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, you know, Storm, Halle Berry. It's like there's an incomplete X-Men team here. There is a ton of big-time multiversal players, basically the most crucial multiversal players that weren't even on the docket today. So I am not really too nervous in that regard. At first, you know, I was kind of pulling my hair out a little bit, being like, where the F is Gene? But once we've had some time to be removed from it, and, you know, you kind of see these other comments and what they're saying and stuff, it's like, yeah, this is going to be one of the biggest movies of all time, or these two movies are going to be together like one of the biggest film events ever. So I'm excited, and even though there was a lot of names that were omitted, I think it was for good reason.
So
Yeah,
I kind of think about when I was a kid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I was kind of thinking about when I was a kid, and I
When
didn't
I was
want
a
to
boy.
tell my parents everything. Yeah, all right, Wilson. So I didn't want to tell my parents everything. So like I like to admit something, I would tell them more than they needed to know. And I kind of think Marvel's kind of doing this, where it's like they want to keep something a little secret or keep you guessing, but they're going to tell you more than you could possibly deal with in one day. It's like a full sink of water. You can't sift through.
It's like they want you to be like, oh my God, the original X-Men, most of the team. What more could we possibly expect? It's like, yeah, the rest of the team and some other awesome characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I know everybody thinks Spider-Man is for sure in this movie, and I'm leaning that way, but I wouldn't actually be shocked if he's not, due to the whole Tom Holland's not able to film right now. Like, the rumor was he's going to be like mostly stunt guy and he'd do a dub, right? But he also has Spider-Man 4 right after this movie. Kind of like how we had no Ant-Man in Infinity War, but Ant-Man was in Ant-Man and the Wasp that took place like right before Infinity War, but it came out right after. You know, like maybe we have that type of situation where we don't really see Spider-Man, because remember, nobody remembers it's Peter. So it could be like, how do we even get in touch with that kid? Like, I don't know. You know,
maybe Spider-Man 4 ends with because we know Strange is out there with Clea, like throughout the multiverse doing what they're doing. Maybe,
yeah, because he has the connection with Strange. Yeah, I mean, like that could work.
And all these, you know, he was basically the first introduction to the multiverse on the film side of Marvel. So like maybe Strange comes and plucks, you know, you're coming with me, kid, sort of thing. And they're not even on Earth while all of this crazy incursion stuff is going down. They're traveling through the multiverse.
Could be. So, you know, it's a possibility. I know, like, he could be in a post-credit scene. He could be at the very end seeing something happen, and then we see more of the events through his side during his movie. You know, when you're talking about actually scheduling actors and stuff, it is very tough when they are slammed the way Holland is right now. That I wouldn't be shocked if, you know, he's not like a main focus point of this movie. Some of these characters are definitely going to be the Secret Wars leaders as well.
Yeah.
You know, also I would say so far, I don't think a lot of this points to that concept art being legit, right? Like, who knows which one it was for, but like, we didn't see Peter Quill. We didn't see the Young Avengers. We didn't see, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch, who was definitely in that with Doom in one of those. Like, we didn't see a lot. The Hulk, we didn't see She-Hulk or Hulk in these. So it's either for Secret Wars or it was just old art. Who knows? But so far, I think it's funny because people were calling out the Russos for lying about it not being their art. But then this cast list comes out and I'm like, I might believe that now.
Yeah. I also see a lot of characters on these lists that are on this list that I wouldn't be surprised if we lost along the way. This feels very much like sort of an Infinity War situation where this movie ends and we lose a ton of people, only maybe we lose them like permanently this time, because we know that a lot of these characters are going to be like sent to Battle World and their minds will be wiped like they are in the comics. So it's not just every character they announced, obviously, but I look at this list and I look at some of these Thunderbolts and some of these X-Men and things like that, and it's like, I think we could be seeing a lot of cannon fodder characters in this movie so that when they do Secret Wars, it's like, yeah, we still got to give these characters some time in Doomsday and stuff, but it's not now we have to fit all of these characters and jam all the ones that we missed in this movie into Secret Wars too. It's a way to give, a fair amount of these characters a good little send-off and then just really like kick it into high gear with the important characters in Secret Wars.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll definitely lose some people, but I'm just wondering, like, on this list, who, like, I would lean more towards the X-Men than the established people in the MCU. I just think that some of these are still, some of these are still heavy hitters when you're talking about the current Captain America, the Fantastic Four. Maybe some Thunderbolts could go, I guess. I think we could lose Tom Hiddleston's Loki because he is like, we've lost him before as well. But I mean, like, so it's not like a, oh no, you can't kill Loki type of thing. Like, this is a totally different Loki as it is. So,
well, I like what Chris said. Ant-Man, maybe Bucky's in there. Like, there is some classic players who I think are prime candidates to eat it here. I think the most likely.
You're gonna feel more emotional for one of them.
The what?
You're gonna feel more emotional for one of them, one of the established guys. The older the actor is, the more likely they are to go. I'm looking at the veterans and going, if it's not one of the X-Men, it's Ant-Man's the guy I'm marking as my bet.
Yeah. They can't do it. They can't kill Scott. I will riot.
You make for a heartbreaking death and like a big time bookend to the movie.
Maybe. I don't know. You can't touch Scott Lang. That's my thought. Let him have his happy life with his kid.
We'll see.
After that.
I mean, I'm hoping for it. I'm not like
you're hoping for him to die?
No, I'm hoping for him to get that happy ending. I'm all for Scott Lang. But like, if I'm gonna bet on it,
Yeah, what are the odds? What do we have the odds of Ant-Man dying if we're gonna place a bet on DraftKings? What are the?
I'd probably put it at even odds. I'd go like a 50-50.
Okay.
All right.
Some characters have to die in this movie. There has to be some kind of stakes. The universes are incurring upon each other. If all of them survive, it'll be like, come on.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, do they? I guess we all. I don't buy any death until we get to the end of Secret Wars.
Well, that too.
Because of how Infinity War played out. Like, once they killed off Black Panther and Spider-Man, I'm like, yeah, this ain't sticking. Like, it was never going to stick anyway. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Secret Wars can reset everything at the end, and that's the theory, right? We don't know what type of reboot it is after that, but it's a possibility. So I'm not really buying any death until we hit the credits of Secret Wars. But I do hope whatever characters are kind of getting a nice send-off of the Avengers team, we get the nice credits like we did in Endgame. I think that would be really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think we'll get him. And hopefully we'll get it for all the Sony characters we've lost along the way too. Craven, Adam
time
Webb,
of
Morbius.
Like the Deadpool and Wolverine credit scene.
Yeah, that's what I was
with the Sony ones.
Yeah. Oh man, Michael Keaton, Vulture, all of them.
Not set to that song though. Set to a song where it's kind of like you really missed your chances here with the Sony universe.
So you had a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right, I think we can move towards Daredevil.